influence in the world, as announced by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who hosted the summit. Other stories and more coming your way in a bit. Stay with us. This is Political Spotlight. You're listening to Voice of the People at 90.3 FM. My name is Ijeoma Innocent and I'm your host on Political Spotlight this evening. Let us quickly delve into the deep with the first news story from the week on our list today. Let's begin with the new Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and former River State Governor Ijeoma Wike, who, he was made a minister. He's not a member of the APC. He is one person that did not work with his party. In fact, Wike was one person that would say stood out during the elections, because you would expect that when you are under the leadership of one person, or when you're under the umbrella of one party, that you would work towards the success of that party. But according to him, he never believed in the candidacy of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and he's just been doing his own thing away from, and he put the G5 together, and he's just been on his own. He's just been his own army right there in the PDP. I want to ask direct this question to Barrister Murphy. Wike has been doing so much that can be considered anti-PDP, but why has he not officially defected yet? Why is he not defected to the APC yet if he loves the policies and the person of President Tinubu so much? He says PDP permitted him to be a minister in President Tinubu's administration. How come, if he loves, how the president has been doing so much, how come he doesn't just go to the president's camp and let's just know that they're together?
It's interesting. It's a very interesting question. However, maybe I would go back a little into the background of what brought us to where we are today, concerning the issues that has to do with current minister Wike, Atiku, PDP, and the rest of them. First of all, it began when the 2023 presidential election was approaching, and the major political parties then, the two leading political parties then, which was the PDP and the APC politicians, had one way or the other decided to zone their presidential ticket to the south. This was irrespective of party differences and party affiliations. And as regards that, a meeting was held at Asaba, the capital of Delta State, where mostly the governors from the south met, irrespective of their political affiliations, met and decided that they were going to zone their tickets to the south. After that meeting, they went for that to hold another meeting in Lagos, where they also met and agreed again for the second time that they were going to zone their tickets to Lagos. After that second meeting in Lagos, along the line, it was discovered that PDP, a group of guys in PDP, a group of politicians in PDP, Atiku, Tambuwa, and some other persons, saw the scenario, saw the whole issues from the other way around, and they felt that no, that they should not zone their tickets to the south, that they should rather make their ticket open, so that, because they cannot, so according to them now, they cannot zone their tickets, whereas they are not in power. They don't have power, so why should they be zoning? Zoning means it's almost like sharing. Why should you share what you don't have? APC is in power, they can decide to zone, but we are not in power, we shouldn't zone. So in the course of that, there was a division. There was those who were aligned with that belief that power should not be zoned yet until they grab it, until they get to power, then they can decide who gets what, which region gets what, and which region doesn't get what. Then Wike and a few governors that later metamorphosed into the G5 governors said no, power, because as at that moment, the administration of President Muhammad Buhari was closing up. So for them, in their opinion, they could not afford to have another president from the north. But along that line, there was a governor also who hosted them in Asaba. There was a governor in the person of Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, who hosted that Asaba meeting and who, let me use this word, pretended to have agreed with them that power should come to the South. But after that meeting, went ahead to have another private meeting with Atiku Abubakar to say, power, you are going to be our presidential candidate and that will deputize
the running mate. Okay.
So that was where the story and the issues began. People like Wike, Otom, and a few other governors said no, power has to come to the South. So that was where their problem began. And Wike felt that, okay, what do I do now? And then he was a sitting governor. Rivers State is one of those states in Nigeria, one of those very few states in Nigeria that no political party wants to joke with, whether you like it or not. Politically speaking, no political party in Nigeria wants to joke with a state like Lagos, Rivers, Kano, and the rest of them, you know. So he was a governor, he was a sitting governor. As at that time, he was at the verge of rounding up his tenure. Nobody could remove him from office. So he felt, okay, he will use his power, which I felt that he used judiciously, he used very wisely. And maybe if they say luck worked for him too, his political permutations worked in his favor. So he decided to say, okay, I will stay in the party and worked against the party. People like Atiku Abubakar, whom I, as an individual, actually rated very high politically. I thought he was a very smart politician. But I think during the last presidential election, prior to the election and during and after the election, I discovered that I actually overrated politicians like Atiku Abubakar, who couldn't handle the crisis from the earlier stage, from the middle stage, and to even the end stage of it, where it eventually became what it is today. Now the question is, before even the issue of how come Wike has not left the party, should be how come the party has not expelled
him. That was going to be my next question.
You know, but the point is, there's a court injunction. Wike was smart. I would say he's smart. He's not one of those politicians I cherish so much, but as bad or good as it may, his permutations has worked very perfectly for him. So he appears to be a smart politician now. There's a court injunction that is stopping PDP from expelling him. Then the second question is, how come he has not left the party since you have found love elsewhere? Since you were rejected here and somebody has accepted you somewhere. But he also said in one of those media interviews, he said he will stay in the party and work against the party, which he did. During the presidential election, he worked against the PDP and Atiku.
Can that be seen as someone setting fire to his own house?
But depending on what politics generally is about interest. That's just the truth. Politics about it. So if setting your mud house on fire would give you a befitting duplex, why not? Which is what he has done. He was at the verge. This problem started when he was at the verge of finishing his tenure as a governor. Now he is a minister, and what he did then was that he probably took a look at the three major political parties, then those leading political parties, then the Labour Party, the PDP, and the APC. And for him, maybe he thought, let me align with the party that is in power. That is, based on the Nigerian political calculations, for him it was like it's most likely that the party in power would win. So he aligned. It was a game. 50-50 chance. He aligned with the party in power. Good for him. He gave his support openly in his state. He gave his support openly to the APC during the elections in his state. Good for him. APC won the election and he became a minister, and that is where we are today.
All right. Still on Wike, he's a member of the PDP and has refused to go, like you said, staying there and working against the party. The PDP and Atiku right now. The PDP, which Wike, belongs to, which Wike is a party member of PDP, and Atiku are seriously contesting President Tinubu's declaration as president at the Election Petition Tribunal, which has been going on for a number of months now. This past week, there were a lot of revelations about the president's certificate, as Atiku did not relent in pursuing his case, asking the Chicago State University to produce the president's certificate to him. It's almost by force, by fire at this point. And the question is, why the hide and seek for President Tinubu's certificate? If you have it, you have it. And if you don't, no problem, because what you need to be a president in Nigeria is just about a school certificate, which many critics have said is a problem, because if you would expect someone who would handle, say, the finances of the nation, someone who will become an MD or CEO of a bank, there are certain qualifications you would expect them to have, and it's just been a lot of cases. But why create room for speculation for another fraudulent attempt, rather, if really there is no certificate anywhere? Atiku's lawyers say they have an evidence now that the signature on the president's certificate, Chicago State University certificate, is phony. The question is, hope all of these evidence and reports are not coming late, because the PDP and Atiku, the Labour Party, and Peter Obi, even President Tinubu and the APC have all submitted their final written addresses to the tribunal. At this point, does Atiku still have a case he's pursuing, or is this just a case of chasing the wind? I'd like to hear from you, Barrister Joe Okede.
Yeah, it's a deep legal issue. And we'll have some decided cases with respect to that. One, like you rightly stated, presentation of certificate, I think SAC, secondary school certificate, is one of the prerequisites for someone to be elected into the office of the president and also Senate. So it's something that you must present before the Independent National Electoral Commission in order to prove to them that you went to school or you are educated at least to the barest, that minimum. Now, I think they raised that issue in the petition they have at the tribunal, and they were not able to maybe tender it because it was not available at the moment. So if they have raised it and they were not able to tender it because they couldn't procure it during the pendency of that matter at the appeal, they can still raise the same issue at the Supreme Court. They can still tender it there. If at the time of they ought to tender it, it was not available, they could not procure it, but it was mentioned, but they couldn't get it, they can still tender it at the appellate court, even though it was not tendered at the lower court. Whether it was raised at the high court and you're on appeal, for the fact you have sufficient facts to, convince the court that you couldn't get it at that point in time, which was part of issues in your matter before the lower court, you can still tender it on appeal. And again, you can also come in by way of fresh facts, but you have to also present sufficient facts to convince the upper court, which is Supreme Court in this instance now, because Presidential Electoral Tribunal is sitting as court of first instance, although it's appeal court. So appellate jurisdiction goes straight to Supreme Court. Unlike other cases that may start where tribunal will start as high courts to appeal court to Supreme Court. So now if actually they can also convince the court, put certain facts before the court to let the court to believe that those facts are material to the issues before the court, they can seek leave, they can do other come by word of leave, but it's now within the jurisdiction or within the what do you call it in law, discretion of the apex court to decide to allow it or not. But if they have pleaded it at the lower court, but they were not able to present it at that time, they can present it at the Supreme Court. So I believe that is why Atiku is laboring so hard to have it handy, pending whatever might be the outcome of the matter before the tribunal. So whichever party that might feel aggrieved with the outcome of the judgment that will be heading to the Supreme Court will still have a ground to present that. So I don't think it's like it is a frolic, because if it is, the president wouldn't have assembled lawyers there to also challenge that legal action. He has lawyers assembled in the US with respect to that issue, urging them not to make them available. But you know, their own system is not our system. They have a procedure, they have a prescribed method. If you're able to fulfill those facts or those conditions, whatever your request or whatever your prayers might be before them will be granted. So I think Atiku's lawyers were able to fulfill the sufficient, procedural requirements for that certificate to be made available to them. And the court in Chicago or wherever, I think, I don't know where the court is in US, proceeded by making it available. Now they are going by the discrepancies in the certificates, going by who issued it, who signed it, when it was signed, to discredit its authenticity. But that will be subject of how it will come in. Either it will even be not either, because it will no longer be tendered at the Presidential Election Tribunal. Now they have adopted their final written addresses, and the matter is adjourned for judgment. They can't accept any other evidence or exhibits at this moment. There will be like a arresting judgment of court, and no court would want that to happen. In fact, procedurally, you can't do that again. So that is already concluded. So I believe Atiku is waiting to use that based on the outcome of the result of the Presidential Tribunal. If it doesn't go in his favor, he'll be proceeding to Supreme Court, of which we know, predictably, that the whole legal toss regarding this presidential election will be settled at the apex court, the Supreme Court. So I think they are already preparing on what will be like the legal battle at the Supreme Court. Then the other question is asked why President is actually trying to prevent them from accessing it. That question can only be answered by him, because for me, it's not like any tasking, issue for somebody to make available the results that he procured in his school. I have my own. I have some of my certificates displayed in my office. I have them. I have many of them in my office there. When you come in there, some of them you see them. I was at the police. I said I should go and get my local to buy my qualified certificate. I quickly tell them, okay, give me a few hours. I'll go back to office and get it across to them, which I did. And they saw it, my university. These are things that we'll be very, very proud to, let the public know about them, to authenticate the claims of going to school, which is even the essence of going to school. Because some people can learn how to even speak better than me. Some have seen lawyers that have actually prosecuted the case up to Supreme Court, but they were not called to the bar. And they were very, very good. But what actually made them to be disqualified, because they can't present that certificate that you are qualified to do this. They were good. Some of them were very, very good, up to Supreme Court. You know what it means by a lawyer having a matter up to Supreme Court? But yeah, they were not called to the bar. But then MBA was of the opinion that they are not qualified to practice law simply because they don't have certificates. That certificate is just like authorization that you have been found worthy to be allowed to participate in this profession as a result of the trainings you have undergone and all that. So, but to the best interest or wisdom of the president, he doesn't want that to be made known to the public. And it makes it look suspicious. And it also makes it look worrisome, because I don't have any interest in all this. The only thing I tell people is that I'm old enough to see what personalities of people can do in a family, in a society, everywhere. In my family, I'm a lawyer. There's a type of life I lived. Unconsciously, all the younger ones copied my lifestyle. All the younger ones copied it. Unconsciously. I was even surprised. It's not something I'll start saying here. But they copied it. Some of them, I don't normally display certain things, certain places, and they don't do that. So my only challenge, my only worry about all this is just like the younger generations, how they begin to view life, and from the perspective they will view life, and the moral capacity we will have to call them to order if they emulate certain things. When they are found wanting in certain things. That's the only problem I have, because a society, a family, is not just built by wealth and by luxury. I've seen so many people with so much wealth when I was growing up that today there is no trace of that. And people couldn't even remember. So even bought over kingship. I know a woman in the 90s that was so notorious. You might even know him. He bought kingship with 50 million. Today, nobody, but he wasted so many friends, so many people. He was paying scholarship for them that time. I was in secondary school. They had a scholarship scheme. You pack wagon and pay school fees. Majority of my classmates, I know them, ended up in 419 because the person that sponsored them was a notorious 419. So that is the only place I'm having issues. But if eventually the president, issues he raised that were typographical errors and also blame some inconsistencies in the certificates on the people that issued
the clerk and
all the rest of it. So if he's able to convince us that actually those things were like errors, unintentional errors that emanated from these quarters, let it be. But I don't want a situation where our younger generation will begin to copy something that will destroy the society and have somebody that they can cite as a person they look up to, for living that kind of lifestyle. That's only my concern.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Joe. I want to speak with you, Barrister Murphy. Right now, the article, just like Barrister Joe said, has been laboring for some time now, trying to get this certificate. He wants to prove that right now he's come out to say that the signature on it was forged, the gender on it is female, the date of birth, the date of graduation, the date of admission is not correct. In fact, the discrepancies, they are much more than discrepancies, that certificate was forged. Now his counsel in the US came out and said there were two different certificates, the one that was submitted to INEC and another one. One certificate has 3 signatures, the other one has 2 signatures. There's just been so much speculation. Atiku's counsel has raised the question saying these glaring differences. One document was submitted to INEC and it's in every material aspect exactly the same document that was not submitted to INEC. They are both the same certificate, yes, but the one submitted to INEC has 3 signatures while the other one does not. They come out, they say, oh, the clerk made mistake because he imputed manually. It was then, it was not now. The Chicago State University are saying maybe we are the one that made a mistake. And the president and his associate have come out and say, hey, now you see, Chicago University have confirmed that they are the one that made the mistake. Is it due to this mistake that they knew that made him to have keep quiet all this while about the certificate? Because right now this is what Atiku is latching onto. It seems like a last resort. Like if I can prove that there is a problem with this certificate, maybe, just maybe, the election petition tribunal will listen to me and overturn this election and probably call for a rerun. What do we see happening with this whole case of the forgery of a signature, of the clerk making mistakes, knowing that you could have submitted other certificates that does not have problems? Why use this one that's calling problems to yourself?
Thank you very much. This issue of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's certificate, Chicago State University, for me has lingered unnecessarily for too long. I've been in several programs where this same issue has been raised, and it's so simple. These matters are before a court of competent jurisdiction. Both the petitioner and the respondents have their lawyers, they have their evidences to prove and to disprove. And the Chicago State University is still in existence. Recently, one of Atiku's loyalists, in the name of Rendo Omokri, a member of the People's Democratic Party and an ally of Atiku Abubakar, had to travel to the United States of America and went to the Chicago State University on same issue and met with officials of same university, where it was clearly made known to him that this guy, President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a student here and graduated from the school. Apart from dealing with the school authorities, he also met guys who were co-students, who confirmed the fact that this guy was a student here, schooled here and finished from the school. So I don't know why we continue to bother, waste resources and time on this same issue. The issues are before a court. Let us patiently wait for the pronouncement of the tribunal. Otherwise, any other thing will be like beating a dead horse, because we have had enough. And I keep saying, Chicago State University is not like one quack university in Nigeria or in Africa, in somewhere in Africa. And that is one fact I keep re-emphasizing on. This is a university in US. With the internet, age of internet and the rest of it, it won't take 1 minute for these persons in the admission of this institution to say, no, this person didn't attend this course. This person didn't graduate from this school.
I think this is discrepancy in the result and the name in the result and everything that contest. Do you understand my point?
And another way I want to go is, like you said,
if only two of you will allow me the same way we allowed two of you to talk.
Sorry, please go ahead.
That would be very proper, you know. Discrepancies, no discrepancies. Chicago State University, I don't know, though it's understood that once politics is involved, issues will come up. It is expected. And I always tell those in politics, if you're not ready to take the hits, to take the critics, then don't venture into politics. I'm saying that whatever the discrepancies, whatever the issues are, Chicago State University is more than capable to say, no, this is not true, this is true, this is not from us, this is from us, this is the true position of things. That is just the point I'm trying to make here. This is an American university. This is 21st century with the age of internet and everything. And in the course of my this, I said, an Atiku Ellis has gone to US, visited the same university. They said this person finished here, this person graduated here. So I don't know what else we want, especially when the case is already before a court. Let's wait and see what happens at the court. And that's my case.
All right, thank you, Barrister Murphy. The question I wanted to throw, permit me, Barrister Joe, the question I wanted to throw, to just finish up on this part of this particular topic is, if, like you said, Reno Omokri has gone there and they've told him, oh, he did graduate from here. How come we don't have other people, other classmates, like he said, that he met, that coming out to say, oh, they also made mistake in my own certificate as well. Oh, I also encountered some issues with Chicago State University as well.
If they made a mistake in one person's result, they should make the mistake in the entire result of the students. What are we saying here?
It's not result. Most of people that were disqualified over issue of result, not that I didn't present it. That was actually, even Nanduba has same issue. It's just not because it's Tinubu. I don't want us to become like, come attached over the issue. I have nothing against anybody. I don't even intend to benefit anything from anybody. I'm not even interested in them. By virtue of my work, I don't even care about the existence. The point is that just to put the society right. That's my major concern. So people, younger generation will not be misled. The issue of certificate before INEC or even names or this House of Assembly Deputy Speaker is also battling his certificates and names. Carlo, somebody from Abia State. So it's so many places. Even I think somebody from Niger State had the same issue of certificate or whatever content there. So we are looking at the content of the certificate. And one issue is that they do graduate from here. Second issue is that what you present to us, is that what you have? Are you the person there? Is that the grade there? Is the year the same year? Is the person the same person? If I say I'm John Wike and I present my certificate as John Wike, it will be scrutinized to know whether it was John Wike that is in that certificate or not. I think that is what is raising issues. When Omokri went there, he never presented any written document or certificate he got from there. I saw where Reno was saying all sorts of things during the election. Nobody knew where he was. I can't rely on Reno as a lawyer But Reno did not make
But
any.
you should be able to rely on information from Chicago State University.
If I can rely on Reno, then there will be no need
best person, even in law, to authenticate a document is the person issuing the document.
If Reno is that sincere and kind of authoritative, there won't have any reason for Atiku to go and file suit. And if Chicago doesn't have if they have a system that makes it easy for anybody to come there and apply and see it, there won't have been the first suit that was filed was actually withdrawn because they said it didn't follow the proper procedure for them to grant it, to allow the university to make available that document. So if it's so easy, all this rigorous process wouldn't have been like embarked upon. So for Atiku to file action and for court to hear it and that mandate them to produce that certificate and for them to come up with what people are agreeing on now means that they are not that open about certificates. Maybe they have internal policy in their school that doesn't maybe allow them to like make it available to individual until certain procedures are adhered to. That was why Atiku went by way of getting lawyers. So like if you come to court now, if court can give you something in court, you can apply, court will give you. Court will give you. But if court says come by way of application, it means that court cannot grant that thing to you. And if court says put the other party on notice, it means court wants the other party to be heard. So if court says put the other party on notice before I will hear you, it means those things that is no longer easy. But if it's ordinary application, CTC, you apply, court will give you. So for all these rigorous protocols to be followed, for Chicago to come out openly to say this is what they have, means that Reno Mokri might not be very, very sincere.
PDP, just like Barrister Murphy pointed.
If it is actually to rely on that, why all these rigorous processes before the university came out to show it? So did Reno come up to show us what they gave you? So I can't rely on that.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to rely on Reno's
when Reno made that statement,
information. But the point is that
Reno have displayed something on the screen. Look at what they gave me when I made this inquiry.
All right.
And look at who signed it. So he cannot go on the air and talk. I used to listen to some of the nonsense he used to say. Sometimes he talk
you call that nonsense?
Yes, now sometimes he talk out of point. Sometimes talk on point.
Really?
Sometimes no, yeah.
Okay, but I really want to hear from Barrister Murphy on just final words on this particular aspect.
I follow Shehu Sani more with a kind of attachment than Reno Mokri. If I look at what Shehu Sani says, I also follow him. It makes more sense to me as a person that's independent minded, saying things for the good of Nigeria.
The one that says what you want to hear says it right.
No,
the one says nonsense. We are on air. We are on air.
It doesn't say what I
Cancel.
like.
We are on air. You are saying it's nonsense.
Yes, I can say it.
It's okay.
I will bring out all the things he has said. If Reno takes me on, I will take him. I will reply him. I will download all the things he has said. And when he said nonsense, he can sue me for defamation. I'm saying it here. I will come to court and challenge and defend myself. All the twists, I'll bring all of them and see show the ones that nonsense there.
Okay. Let's move to another aspect of discussion. But I still want to hear from Barrister Murphy on this aspect before we move on to another aspect.
Chicago State University or any agency in America is unlike the agencies you have in Nigeria and Africa. Chicago State University will not have its image damaged for whatever reasons. Chicago State University is a university that has been in existence, that graduates students on a yearly basis and does not have any special interest on one Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If there is any reason for Chicago State University to say no, this person didn't graduate for it, they will not hesitate to do so. Is it bribe? What are you going to offer to Chicago, to an institution at that category in the US? So I am saying here, beside what Reno Mokri has said, Reno Mokri is somebody who went. I'm very sure his trip was self-sponsored, and like I also said, he's a member of the PDP and still a member of the PDP, and he's an ally of the article. So a Chicago State University will not fold its hands just because one amongst millions of students that have graduated from that institution is involved in a political saga somewhere in Africa, and then go for that to dent its image. I'm saying no to that. And I'm saying that Let's fold our hands and watch. The matter is before a tribunal.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Murphy. 19 minutes past 7 p.m. right here on the number one station that gives you a voice. We are having candid conversations right here on Political Spotlight, talking about issues that affect the polity. My name is Ijeoma Innocent, and I still have Barrister legal luminaries, Barrister John Wokedi and Barrister Murphy Abadoni right here in the studios. I'm seeing some comment on our YouTube channel. If you want to see the faces, yes, behind the voices, you can head on over to our YouTube channel, type into your search bar Voice of the People 90.3 FM. And to everyone who's sending comments on YouTube, I see your comment and I appreciate you joining the program, but please keep it civil. All right, keep it civil. Don't say anything you wouldn't want anybody to say to you. All right, please just keep it civil. I know that we have different thoughts, and just like Barrister Murphy, I agree with that, what he pointed out, saying when someone is saying what you want to hear, it seems like, okay, they're saying something nice, but if they're saying something you don't want to hear, it seems like they're not saying something nice. And this applies to our YouTube audience. Please, let's keep it civil. All right, now moving on to another aspect of the same tribunal issue. Critics have complained after the delay in announcing the authenticated winner of the February 25 presidential elections. Hence, the all eyes on the judiciary slogan. We do know the, I would say, brouhaha surrounding the pulling down of billboards across the nation with the inscription, all eyes on the judiciary. Nigerians have printed this on pens, on books, on t-shirts, and wearing it all around. Are Nigerians doing too much? Do we really think the judges at the Election Petition Tribunal feel bullied psychologically by this cause? As you know, the federal government said that this is, it's like a bullying psychologically for the tribunal. Our Nigerians need them to just be the final arbiter of the common man in this case. Is this just, as many people have said, a reminder to the tribunal to do what is right? And in this case, what is right can be said to be subjective. What is right to many people could be what they want. But we want to believe that the tribunal knows best. Is the slogan excessive? And must the tribunal wait until September to bring judgment on this issue, considering that anyway the announcement goes, the party discontent with the results will almost surely proceed to the apex court at this point? Now recently as well, talking about this pulling down of this billboard, recently about 25 media professionals attached to the presidential villa, where I would say they were stripped of their accreditation tags, about 25 of them right there in Abuja. Now they're no longer able to report on the activities of the president at the presidential villa in Aso Rock. Many people have seen this as a gagging of the media. Barrister Murphy, how do you see this?
You raised two issues. Which of the issues?
Yes, sir. Both of them are in tandem. Pulling down the slogan, all eyes on judiciary, and stopping the media. I'm trying to interpose them.
Good and fine. You see, I said it somewhere, maybe 2 weeks back, when this same issue was raised in another media house somewhere, and I said the three major contestants in this 2023 presidential election, in the persons of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi, they've all been beneficiaries of the Nigerian judicial system. They've all been beneficiaries of the Nigerian judicial system. Bola Tinubu has benefited so much from the Nigerian judiciary. Atiku Abubakar has benefited immensely. He was vice president to President Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, for 8 years. When they won election the first time, other contestants like Muhammadu Buhari challenged their victory and went to court, and they got judgment against their opponent. Atiku celebrated and hailed the judiciary. Peter Obi in Anambra State got judgment through the same Nigerian judiciary and hailed the judiciary. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the same thing. So I'm saying here that the judiciary is just what it is. The judges are just who they are. And I must also add this, that the issues that the judges look at is quite different from what the populace look at. Those things you see on social media and even in main media. sometimes they are very far from the facts presented before the courts. You understand? And so therefore, I'm of the opinion that we must allow the judiciary to be. They've issued judgments in the past that has favored some parties, and then of course it is natural that when two persons or more persons go to court, there will always be a winner, and the winner will always hold it, especially in Nigeria here. When judgment favors Nigeria, is where you hear that judiciary is the hope of the common man. When it does not, when it goes the other way, that is when they tell you, especially our political class, they will tell you that the judiciary has been bought over, the judiciary is biased and all that. So if you ask me, I will say that it is not necessary. The judges are not necessarily moved by these things. They are busy looking at the petitions before them, the facts and evidences presented before them. Then they try to also look at the positions of the law. The positions of the law as related to those issues. So going about to mount billboards does not necessarily mean that the judges will give favor against. And I must state this here, that enough of this idea, because I've had conversation with Nigerians, and people will just tell you, we want judiciary to do what is right. Ask the man, what, or the woman, what is right? What is right simply means what he wants to hear. You get it? People will just say, we want the judiciary to do what is right. We want the judiciary to deliver judgment according to the wishes of the people. You ask, who are the people? These three major candidates have their followers, have their enemies. They have those who doesn't want to hear about them, who doesn't want to see them. They have those who can die for them. So, and the judiciary is not interested in all. The judiciary is interested. And let me even state this here. I'm very much interested in this aspect of this discussion, because so many of the followers of these political parties and their candidates don't even understand the difference between your opinion, moral, and the law. And even the difference between even the truth and the fact, that you think that this candidate is a saint cannot necessarily grant him judgment. That you think that this candidate is a demon cannot necessarily make him to lose the case before a court. So we need to understand that the judiciary they became judges ever before you even contested the election, and they rose through the ladders. So if any of you loses or wins a case, it doesn't shake them one bit. So in a nutshell, I'm saying that we need to allow the judges be. We need to allow them do their work. And when you approach a court, please approach the court with an unbiased mindset. Approach the court with the mindset that you can either win the case or lose the case. Don't approach the court thinking that the court will work in accordance with your belief and with your desire. So therefore, they must give a judgment according to what you are. It doesn't work that way. So for me, it is highly unnecessary. It is uncalled for, especially at this critical point of our political life. We don't need all that. It's not necessary.
Okay. According to you, Barrister Murphy, the mounting of those billboards was not necessary.
Highly unnecessary.
Because at the end of the day, when people look at what is right, it depends on their opinion of what is right and not what is morally correct. All right. And thank you very much.
Sorry, dear. It can be morally correct without necessarily being legally right.
Right. Okay. So what the tribunal judges are looking at is not what I would say we the common man is not what we are looking at. No. What they are considering is not what we are considering as well.
Look, there was a case. I'm sure Councillor Joe will be aware. There was a case where a judge had to pronounce a notorious criminal acquitted, and said, "You are acquitted, but God will judge you," because he knows that this person is a notorious criminal, but the evidence presented before the prosecutor is not enough to jail him. So those are the things people need to understand, that the court does not necessarily deal with your truth. The court would necessarily deal with the facts and the evidences presented before it.
Okay, the court will not deal with your emotions, but with the facts and the opinions presented before it, and also the argument presented before it. Barrister Joe, I'd like to ask, do you agree with what Barrister Murphy has just said? And also, I would like to add the other question about the 25 correspondents who were just removed, disbanded, and their tags, their accreditation tags taken away, and now they can no longer cover the president's activities or activities at the Aso Villa. I'd like you to answer both. Do you agree with what Barrister Murphy has said, and what is your opinion on that issue?
Yes, I agree to a very large extent. The only place I have a reservation is that this all eyes on judiciary. I don't know why someone will feel bad about it. Like my learned friend rightly said, it's not something that ought to worry anybody. So why will a judge even feel that he's under pressure because of that? When they said there's a proverb that says that when you come to market and start shouting thief, 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 ole, 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 thief may start running, even without mentioning his name. So because he will start running. So the all eyes on the judiciary from his nominal kind of interpretation. It's not directed at anybody. The three major people that actually contested elections and challenging and battling at the tribunal, none of the names was actually mentioned in that billboard. And they didn't mention them of any judge also. And they didn't mention them of any court. There's something we always get wrong. Judiciary is not high courts and supreme court. Even magistrate courts are also part of judiciary. Even academic courts, even customary courts, they are also viewed as being part of judiciary. And I tell people something, that all eyes on judiciary, I love it so much. Not because it is targeting anybody, because it's it's lessening our burden as lawyers. People are beginning to ask questions. People are beginning to know what is going on in our judiciary. I know a couple of times that somebody will say, they said, we need a letter from the court. I said, what do you mean by a letter? You don't even know it's application that you want to go and file. I said, they said I should go to court and get a letter. Average Nigerian doesn't know anything about how court functions. They don't know about the duty of the judges. They don't even know about their composition. They don't know about the hierarchy of costs. They don't know what is expert application. They don't know what is motion notice. They don't know what is a CTC. They don't know anything. So when you're even trying to do a job as a lawyer for them, you are faced with so many challenges. Nigeria has 5% literacy in legal issues in the world. South Africa has 45% knowledge of legal issues. Europe has almost 80% knowledge of legal issues. But in Nigeria, we have almost 5% people that know anything about the law or the courts. So now that they're becoming interested during this presidential election tribunal, we should encourage them. They're asking questions. Some of them don't even know that there are duration of time within which a judge will give judgment. Some believe that, so already started criticizing the judges for manipulating the system. That's why they're not giving judgments up to this time. They don't know they have time frame. They have 90 days and they're still within their time. So people are asking questions and questions are being answered, and all eyes on the judiciary. Judiciary is the hope of the common man and the hope of everybody in the country. We have all eyes at the police. We have all eyes on our politicians. We should also have all eyes on the judiciary. Without having all eyes on the judiciary, how do we know what is going on there? So we should put, even if it was putting pressure on them, we put pressure on them. Let them know the people are now awake and they want to know what you are doing. So if you're a judge and you want to do something wrong, then they will know. Even though a law, it's a matter of facts and a matter of the law and not moral. But there are some certain, Lord Denning became very, very powerful and the most popular lawyer till death because he combined morality with law. There was nothing fantastic about Lord Denning, that he built in morality and married them with the law. And it became so, it was so many of things you enjoy today as a human, as you are right, is from Lord Denning. Because he considered so many things instead of strictly adhering to provisions of the common law. He got into equity and other things, touching on that humanity. And that is why Lord Denning is very, very popular till today. So what I'm saying in essence is that all eyes on judiciary is not mentioning anybody's name. It's not directed to even any court. They didn't even mention Presidential Election Tribunal Court. They didn't even mention Supreme Court. They didn't even mention Magistrate Court. So people should be conscious of what is going on in the courts. They need to know. I even encourage people to go to court and listen to court proceedings. After the proceedings, ask questions and let them explain to you what transpired in court, so that you will know. So people become conscious of what is going on in our judiciary. So if it's, I'll be against them if they mention name of any judge, if they mention name of any politician, that judgment must be given in favor of that politician, or name of any particular court that it must be that court is being suspected. But they didn't do so.
Okay.
So allow them to air their views as I'm saying, section 39 of chapter 4 of the Constitution of 1999 as amended. Let them. If all eyes are not on the people, how do we grow our system? Why do we do NSAS? After the NSAS, do you think all eyes are still on the police? That's why anything that happens, you see people blogging it. All eyes on our politicians. If we have all eyes on our politicians, we should know why they are not sharing palliatives well. We should know why they are not what they're supposed to do. Some people don't even know the duties of a local government chairman. Some don't know the duties of a councillor. Some councillors get away with all the money given them to develop their wards, because there's nobody, no eye is on them. So Nigerians should get all eyes everywhere, both judiciary, both senators, the cars they drive, the food they eat, their constituency project, the suit they wear, the car they drive, even people movement they move around. Our eyes will be on them as far as they are serving the public.
All right.
On the second wing of the question you answered, I believe we're in democracy. It's not like governments of the military. It's not dictatorial. It's not ought to be dictatorial or be authoritarian. The essence of democracy is to have people that will agree with you and people that will disagree with you, and jointly you build a varied society, a society where everybody will claim ownership. I was telling somebody, I don't want to say it, one of my greatest critics right from my university, they suddenly became my person that promoted something that favored me now. If I have killed him then, because as all along has been fighting me during our school days, by now you have been very, very useful in something that will promote me very, very highly, elevate me very, very soon. But I kept on knowing that, look, he saw a must that he must align with me. He might align with the opposition, which he has been doing. So if everybody begins to report what is favorable and good in the eyes of the presidency and their cohorts or their allies or whatever, then the president will not even perform. I was in leadership in school. There was time I brought out money. I said, please, I want people that will come and tell me what I don't want to hear. I'll give you some amount of money. People are praising me so much. Where am I doing something wrong? I need critics. I was begging for it. Come and tell me what will make me to be angry. Let me know where I'm not doing something well. And people say no. I say no, that's what I want. Stop praising me.
Okay.
Because it seems I'm not getting the right information. Some people are not telling me the truth. And some people began to tell me, okay, this area is like what they did that day. You wouldn't have done. I said, good. This is what I want to hear. So I can build up a complete leadership. So why would they do that? They should allow people to report what they want and what they don't want. If they report falsehood, that's the only place I will be against it. And you sue. If they report falsehood, you take them up. You take the media house up. You sue them for defamation for your image. They just the face and all that.
All right.
And libel and slander and all that. Law made a provision for that. But for them to always say what you want them to say, no society has ever developed and made substantial progress with that kind of mindset and attitude.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Joe Nwokedi. You're still listening to Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Don't forget, you can find us on YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now. All right, just type into the search bar Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I will be taking some comments from our YouTube platform right now. Okachi Paluku says, how do you get into university if you do not have a primary and secondary education? Okachi Paluku also says, just because it is a university in the US does not mean they are beyond corruption. Okay. Someone else said, stop defending irregularities. Yes, thank you so much for your comment right there on YouTube. The phone lines are open. Give us a call, 0700 903 903 903. 0700 903 903 903 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation. You can also send a message via to our WhatsApp platform. It is 0700 903 9039. We are voice of the people, and we definitely want to hear your voice. Let's move on to the next item on our list of discussions today, and it is about the palliatives, 5 billion naira to each state that has been shared right now. Barrister Murphy, have you seen any pictures or have you encountered anywhere anyone is receiving palliatives from the state or from like Lagos State as you are here right now? Have you seen anyone?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to state here or chip in here that we need to understand that there's a difference between opposition and the government. Because many people will mistake the position of the federal government, the position of the president and the federal government from the position of the Tinubu of the APC, for instance.
Okay.
Once there is a government, because the constitution does not allow for a vacuum. So there must be a government, there must be a president at every point in time. And government must continue to function. So we must differentiate between what the government is doing to ensure that government is running, to ensure that there is law and order, from what the opposition is saying or from what the opposition is doing or wants to do. That is just for that. Then when you talk about the issue of palliative, personally as an individual, I kicked against this idea from the onset, because here we are going to be talking about giving 5 billion naira sum to a group of 36 state governors who had been in the act of receiving monthly allocation that also run into billions and does not do anything good with it. That does not account to the people. And unfortunately, I must say this, we live in a society where everybody thinks that good governance resides in Abuja. You talk about primary healthcare system, you talk about primary education, people think that it is Abuja that will give it to them. Once you talk about bad governance, people take their mind straight to Abuja. So these governors, you see 36 state governors flexing, permit me to borrow that word, see them flexing. After 30 days, they send their commissioners of finance to Abuja to go and sign and bring in billions, and they'll squander it, pay salaries of civil servants and squander the rest. Some will manage to maybe engage the service of one or two Asian construction firms, construct one or two bridges, sometimes not even needed at that particular location and all that. And that is the end. So giving 5 billion naira to these persons, for me, should have been a no-no. That is my honest. It should have been a no. There is no point, because these are persons who have been unable, besides their monthly allocation, these are persons who also have what they call security votes. That they squander, they receive the security votes when there is an issue anywhere. They are calling on the IG of police. They are telling you they are trying to reach Abuja, but when it's time to receive their security vote, they receive it and squander it. So for me, if the government is listening, there's no point to, because a lecturer of mine, they said the simplest definition of madness is when you do the same thing repeatedly and expect the result to be different. You know, President Muhammadu Buhari, former, told this lane, this palliative lane, this idea of there was trade. In fact, he went further. He created so many programs. There was the one Professor Yomi Oshibanjo was moving from market to market to share money physically to people, trade that money, and trade that money. You know, those were people who received it physically. There were other programs from that administration that I met people who confirmed that they received. But the point was, what was the end result? So I'm strongly of the opinion that sharing of money has not worked here. Has not worked, and there's no need repeating it. Now the issue is, you cannot discuss this 5 billion monthly additional fund to state governors without talking about the subsidy removal, which gave birth to this. You know, it became, at a point in our national life, it became very obvious that subsidy must be killed or it kills us. And to buttress that further, the three major contestants, Obi, Atiku, Tinubu, agreed at the time that subsidy must go. And a large number of Nigerians also agreed that it should go. Now, that is number one. Subsidy eventually was made to go. Now you have removed subsidy. If I were the government, what next? How do you now curtail the hardship? Because it was also a known fact that removal of subsidy was going to increase our sufferings. The price of every other item in the market was going to go up. Now, the former administration, in their course of trying to build a better economy, in their course of trying to make Nigeria one of countries that are food sufficient, close our borders, ban the importation of rice, and encourage. They went for that to even encourage rice farmers, gave fertilizers, gave loans. What was the result? I always say, what was the end result? Because no matter how intelligent you are, you're a lecturer in school, it's not bothered. It's all about what you have written in the exams. You may be an intelligent student in class. If you write poorly during the exam, you fail. You may be a dull student in class. If you write very well during the exam, you pass. So what was the end result? It didn't change the price of rice. Instead, the price went higher. So if I am those in this current administration, this is my opinion, I will take a deeper look. Rice, apart from Gary, that is produced here, that we are born with, is one of the items that is consumed by most families in Nigeria. So why don't you look into that direction? Okay, now, what do we do? Should we subsidize rice for the next 1 year, 2 years, since it's what almost every family consumes? Should we open our borders to the importation of rice for the next 1 year to cushion the effect of subsidy removal? Today, a bag of rice is about 14,000. Close to 50. So, for instance, we now have a policy that says now borders, land and sea borders are open to rice importation for the next 1 year, and it's zero import duty, for instance. You know, that means a price of rice can come down to like 15,000, 20,000. My dear, if the government does that, Nigerians will just go and sleep and give you a totem. I'm telling you, Nigerians will just go and sleep and tell you to take a totem and go. But the idea of sharing money will not work. You can't give money to those who have been receiving money and that have not been able to account for it. Now you are giving them 5 billion to do what?
Okay.
Who are they going to share to? Party loyalists, politicians, and all that, and it won't change anything in the market. Well, we need a palliative. We need to solve. Let me don't even use, because it's about semantics. Let's call it anything that will make life better for the people, and that must come in form of subsidizing something somewhere.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be PMS, it doesn't have to be petroleum, but you need to subsidize something somewhere that will make life bearable for the people.
For the people.
It's as simple as that. So
right.
For me, giving 5 billion to governor is a no.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Murphy. I want to come to you now, Barrister Joe Nwokedi. Some critics have said that it is a poorly thought out plan of distribution. Just like Barrister Murphy has said, it does not agree with giving out cash palliatives. Some of these palliatives being shared by state governors. Some pictures and videos have surfaced online, and many people are asking, how long will it keep the hunger at bay? I'd like you to talk on this for a very short period, so because we're running out of time, so we can move on to the next topic.
It is a very, very poorly thought out program. But for me, I believe the federal government that actually did that had the intention, or had something it has in mind to achieve, not basically to cushion the effect of the sufferings of the people, but it's more political. in my own perspective. Because like my learned friend rightly said, it's something that we have repeatedly witnessed in Nigeria. I mean, this mode of giving palliatives or sharing things, and it never worked. So I wouldn't think that a person that's actually been a keen follower of events in Nigeria will still deploy that same method or mode of reaching out to the people without having adequate kind of procedures for its successful implementation. So I believe it's a way of cutting the governors, because these governors are like giving hyenas, you know, the kind of duty of looking after the goats. So how can a hyena be looking after the goats? They have history of not allowing whatever that was given to them to pass into the hands of them. Even the local government people that ought to be a government closer to the people, the state governors muzzle, stifle everything that will make them to become functional, and then put those things at their own disposal. How can you now give such people palliative to dispose of people? I remember when during COVID-19, our former NBA president, Abata, he has finished his tenure, gave something out during that palliative, during Young Lawyers Forum. The way the channel he used to get it across to the people. You be in your house, they deliver it. Even they deliver it at your doorpost with your fill address, fill your house, fill everything. Deliver at your doorpost, and people will be able to access it. So you have your data, you have your information forwarded to his campaign group there. They'll drop it in your house and call you, come and pick it. So why can't we do such a thing? If actually want to toe that part, than gathering people, calling people out in their numbers and begin to throw, gari, small portion of gari with small rice in nylon and whatever, and throw at the public, throw at the crowd. I mean, they are reducing the worth of people in Nigeria. And it's so sad and very, very annoying. And it's quite disgusting that the government will reduce the personality, the image, the integrity of your subject to the level of being like paupers that will throw things from buses and from trucks and everything. But you have the proper channel. If you can use that money to take care of a sector, you remove the money from petroleum. Quite all right. You don't want the subsidy as sort of a campaign that you no longer sustain. It's not sustainable because of level of debts and other things. You want to raise level of revenue generation. Why not use that money, put it into housing? Like I had a friend from Jamaica. When the person asked me, where do you live? I said, I live in a place for 10 years, 20 years. He said, is it your house? I said, no. He said, how can you live in a house for 20 years? It's not your house. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, no, so it's not so. How can you live in a house 20 years and it's not yours? He said, what kind of system of house ownership do you practice in your country? I said, landlord builds a house, you go there, sit down, you pay him every year. He said, that's wrong. The government is supposed to have mortgages, here you will stay, and every rent you pay is part of purchasing of that house. That the next, for you to live in the house 10 years, your rent will have purchased that apartment for you, and it becomes yours. So how come our government don't have that system of housing? How can you live in a house for 15, 20 years, yet you don't have any part in that house? As that is how it is being practiced in Nigeria. Can't we do such a thing? You build a house, you mortgage it. The person went ahead to tell me that, look, Joe, if you are to pay 400,000 in that house or 500,000, they can actually make it 500,000 instead of 400,000. They're making 100,000 from each year you pay money there. But the next 10 years, you finish paying for that apartment. It becomes yours. Jamaica. I don't know why our people are so. It's like somebody in Nigeria. I've seen a situation where somebody lived in the house for 31 years. I was not able to pay for the 32nd year. The landlord brought him to court. When he says, how long did you say have lived in that? Say about 31 years. When he says, now which one are you? He said, I'm paying for 1 year. Like my learned friend said, law is law. When you say look at the landlord, somebody lived in the house for 31 years. It's not only 1 year. You brought him to court. When you say look at the landlord and look at, say, okay, counsel, go ahead. Do you know what it means? 31 years. Only 1 year they brought him to court because of the kind of housing system we practice in Nigeria. Why can't you put that? Why can't you put it in transportation? There are so many sectors that you can put that money that will deeply ameliorate the sufferings of the people. But decide to give it to the governors. For me, the present government is not serious about giving palliatives. They just want to like kind of cut the governors, give them more money to feel good, so as to like get their loyalty, their support, or whatever they want to benefit from the governors. It's not that thing they are doing there. As far as I'm concerned, they have not given Nigerians any palliative, and they shouldn't come up to say that. Some of them are given to political office holders that will call their party loyalists. You remember what happened during COVID-19? Some even packed it for their birthdays. Some repackaged. You saw some of them not for sale in Europe, displayed at the stores with tag not for sale. I even bought one somewhere, it was not for sale, and they were selling it. Something I bought was not for sale, written there. They were selling it at one of the supermarkets. These are things for palliatives. You have proper channel of getting to the people, but they will always find a way not to allow it to work. Because somebody told me, said, Joe, do you think that sometimes when they call a chieftain from a particular place, say, take this money and share to your constituency, they know quite well that the chieftain will not give them that money. They actually wanted to settle that chieftain. They don't want to say, chieftain, come and take this money and go. Okay. Chieftain will call the people and give them whatever he wants to give them or whatever, and take the rest. They actually want to pay that chieftain back for his supports. So people should advise, when the governor wanted to embark on 8,000 naira, whatever, he wanted to share to 12 million Nigerians, and people raised doubts, and he was able to, change from that kind of direction. We thought they even have come up with something that will be more people oriented. And my worry is that the current president was in the streets. He was an activist. He was part of the struggle. He was in the jungle. He was part of movements, so many movements. So he should have interacted with the people. That's why I do know why I respect senior police officers. When you come to senior police officers and say, hey, yeah, DPO did this, area commander did this, look and say, call him for me. Do you know why he's saying that? Before you become a CP, you must have been a DPO. You must have been an area commander. They know all those challenges of all those area commanders. They know what a DPO would do. They know DPOs are the ones sending all these people you see on the road. They know what they send those people there because they were there. You cannot just become a commissioner in police without passing through those ranks. So somebody that actually rose from level of being an activist, a comrade and all those things to that level should understand better how to get to the people.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Joe Nwokedi. I have been speaking with Barrister Joe Nwokedi and Barrister Murphy about the new right here on Political Spotlight. Do call me up to air your views. This is Voice of the People, 90.3 FM, number one station that gives you a voice. The phone lines are open. Yes, the phone lines are open to call me up. I definitely want to hear from you. Now taking some messages from our WhatsApp line. Moby from Ajao says, okay, the government should do something to favor all and not to share money to us as if we are beggars. Tony Anele from Ijagemo says, my gentleman, VOP analyst and presenter, cannot fathom why an innocent, sincere comment of the public warranted a sudden and unprovoked outburst by the federal government and its agencies. Okay, good evening. Welcome to Political Spotlight. All right, there. I lost that caller there to give me a call back. Still on Tony Anele. He says they failed to realize that by their own action, they've made the statement to go viral because some of us were unaware of the comment hitherto are now beaming our eyes on the judiciary, both globally and internally. They should not insult the public with any palliative as happened in the COVID era, where my estate of about 2,000 inhabitants were given 5 sachets of noodles / 5 Jerica cups of rice to share. Okay, wow. To take some messages on our YouTube platform, Chinedu Ekoyo says, to tell you the truth, if we'll continue in this way, we're going nowhere. Anybody that has a questionable character should not be allowed to contest for any political position. All right, call me up 0700 903 903 903. Good evening and welcome to Political Spotlight. Good evening, sire. Good evening. What is your name and location, please? Yes, this is Political Spotlight.
I know. Good evening. I'm Emeka, the call from Ejigbo Power Line.
All right, Emeka from Ejigbo, welcome. Quickly, let's hear your opinion on the matters we're discussing today.
All right then. My take goes to this palliative issue.
Okay.
Well, first of all, my greeting to the two barristers. They do the good work tonight.
Good evening.
You know, their analysis are best one. You know, that's the kind of analysis we need, because all of us we are looking into to have a better country for ourselves and the upcoming one. Where everybody their submission tonight is very welcome one. I thank them so much for their work. My dear, about this palliative issue, two of them have said it all. We can't be doing old things and be expecting a new result. It can't be possible. The Buhari regime try all these things, sharing money, giving people, giving food, whatever. There is a saying in our land: teach me how to catch fish. Don't teach me how to chop fish. Teach me how to catch fish. If I'm hungry tomorrow, I needed a fish, I go to the riverside and get it. Because that time we may not be around. But if you teach me how to chop it, and when I'm thirsty for it, I'm hungry for it, there's no way to get it. It becomes a trouble.
Okay.
So what we need from them now is this. The refinery is lying down there as white elephants. Let them go and one. And another one again, let them see the way they will tackle the insecurity, so that farmers will go back to their farmland and start doing their farming in a peaceful way, the way it used to be before. I wonder why this, I said maybe the country, we all are not understanding what is happening or what. The people are crying that they don't want this palliative issue, and you force it on them. Then the money now is a wasted money. That money that goes to the governors, their hand is a wasted, because during last time Buhari regime, Buhari committed about governors collecting money from Abuja, not doing their work. And you people started with that kind of time now. How can we do it? So if somebody is complaining, it's not that we don't have much to waste anymore as a country. We are begging them to think, to rethink themselves and start reasoning with the people.
Okay.
The people are the people you are ruling. They are the problems we are coming to solve. If you don't reason with them, you don't plan with them, you don't talk to them, how can you solve their problems? Let's be honest to each other.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emeka. Thank you so much for your contribution. You can be like Emeka and put a call through to us, and right here in the studio, 0700 903 903 903. Don't forget the show comes to an end at 8:30. Good evening and welcome to Political Spotlight.
Hello, good evening. My name is Mary. I'm calling from Okiafa.
Welcome, Mary.
Yes, I want to talk about the palliative.
Okay.
When they mentioned this palliative at first, Nigerians were shouting that they don't want palliative. They should invest the money to things that will benefit Nigerians, that will give them employment. And they still went on to be sharing palliative. Why don't they invest it on electricity? At least separate the residential electricity from the factory ones. As I'm talking to you now, I don't have lights. In a country like this, we should be having lights regularly. Nigeria does not have lights. And again, they should return fuel to the normal price that it was before this government come to power. And I heard them talking about all eyes on the judiciary. What is wrong with that statement? All eyes on the judiciary to pass the righteous judgment. Not that when the evidences and the facts are before them, they will twist everything and pass judgment to the person that they want, or to a group of people they want. All eyes on them, on this very matter and every other matter, to give the righteous judgment. This is a democratic government. Nigerians have the right. There should be freedom of speech. Not that when somebody says something, they go and remove all the billboards because somebody said all eyes are on the judiciary. When are we going to get it right? Please, they should do the right thing. That is my contribution.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. Thank you. Keep listening. Political Spotlight continues. 4 minutes past 8 p.m. The conversation continues. This time around, we want to take it, I'd say, a little outside Nigeria. Let's talk about the BRICS summit that held in Johannesburg, hosted by President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa this week, which was attended by Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima, standing in for President Tinubu. Now, BRICS has admitted about 6 new members. Yes, they've admitted 6 new members to the association, And these 6 new members are Iran, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The question is, why is Nigeria not a part of BRICS? Why are we the ones stalling? Is it them that don't want us? Because right now, if they just admitted 6 people and the vice president was there, are we the ones that are not making a good case for ourselves? Are we the ones who are opting out? How can being part of BRICS, how can it benefit us? I'd like to hear from you, Barrister Murphy.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me state here that I'm not aware that Nigeria applied to be a member country of the BRICS, except somebody is going to correct me with a contrary position of facts. And it's all about economic benefits. I've taken a look at some of those issues concerning international politics, economics, benefits to nations, and some other reasons alongside. I don't think that Nigeria, being part of BRICS at this point, is going to be favorable to Nigeria economically. Rather, what I expected as an individual, though I'm not an economist, when the news broke that the vice president Shettima was going to be representing the president, I thought that maybe the Nigerian government could have formed a team of probably some economic experts, including those directly in government and those that are not, that would have accompanied the vice president to go and represent. Because at that juncture, the vice president was representing Nigeria, representing the president and representing Nigeria. So I expected that it should have gone with a team of economic experts, those in government and those outside government, like I said earlier, that will accompany him, because it was an opportunity also for Nigeria to go and grab something home, something that will be of economic benefits back home. But I think we have missed that opportunity once again, because I followed it and I discovered that the vice president ended up not even attending the BRICS summit with any of these our economic experts and professionals that would have been able to advise even prior to the summit, during the summit, and even after the summit, because it was another opportunity to sell Nigeria to the rest of the world, sell Nigeria to member countries of the BRICS, tell them what Nigeria can offer them if they invest here, what they stand to gain in investing in Nigeria, and the benefits of investing here, and the advantages they have against investing in other countries of the world and even other countries around Africa. But we've missed the opportunity again. But I don't think at this critical point that being a member of the BRICS is one of our serious challenges at this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Murphy. I wouldn't like to, I would say overflog this particular issue. Let's move on to something pertinent and which I would say touches us very well.
Why are they still answering BRICS?
when they've had they will find a way to modify the names. These 6 countries won't join them until January 1st. So I believe by then it might become BRICS. They will have to rearrange it.
Just an acronym of all the countries that made up that organization. So for them going forward, they have to like change that name.
Okay.
They will come clearer, so we know whom they are.
All right, 9 minutes past 8 p.m. You are listening to Political Spotlight and Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Ijeoma Innocent. I'm sitting in for Esther Nwachukwu, who unfortunately is not around today, and I still have 2 legal luminaries in the studio. I have Barrister Joe Nwokedi and Barrister Murphy Abadoni, who have been giving factual and unbiased analysis on topical issues in the Nigerian polity. Lastly, before we go, our time is fast spent, but we need to talk about the internal problems of the Labour Party and Lamidi Apapa. It's like there are 2 factions, the Julius Abure faction, the Lamidi Apapa faction. Earlier this week, there was a report that a High Court sitting in Owerri had declared Julius Abure.
So is it High Court or Appeal Court?
An appeal court, rather, pardon me. Yeah. An appeal court sitting in Owerri had declared Lamidi Apapa as the right chairman of the Labour Party and not Julius Abure. It asked Julius Abure to step down and to stop claiming chairmanship. Also, the candidate that Julius Abure conducted primaries for to represent Imo State in the November governorship elections were told to step down for the candidates that was fielded by the Lamidi Apapa faction. Now, yesterday and even today, there's been so many statements with the Labour Party coming out to say that Apapa's faction actually twisted the actual judgment, that was not what the judge said. I'd like to read out a portion of the press release that was sent out to the media today by the National Secretary of the Labour Party, Umar Farouk. Okay, rather, this was sent out on Friday, pardon me. All right. So he says that in order to ensure a subjugation of the Labour Party, he accused the ruling party to have deployed all manner of strategies to stifle the party, part of which was to sponsor insurrection among some suspended former members of the party, Lamidi Apapa and a few others. He says the assignment is to ensure that no progress is achieved in the party. He goes on to say the heavily funded dissidents have tried to mislead the courts and some section of the media to harass the party leadership, but all have failed. Only recently, the Court of Appeal sitting in Benin City affirmed Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party. There's been so much back and forth. One court says Abure is the right chairman. Another court counters it and says, oh, instead it is Apapa, and they keep going back and forth. Is a war of words, is a game of power, and at this point, I'm not sure this thing is ending anytime. Why does Lamidi Apapa, who is a party member, seems to be the party destabilizer that has been accused of being sponsored by the opposition? I would love to hear from you, Barrister Murphy, before we move to Barrister Joe.
Thank you once more. You see, in this same studio a few months back, I think I was here with Esther Nwachukwu and Barrister Joe on this same issue. And I was of the opinion that the party, Labour Party, could avert the whole of these brouhahas by going back to the round table to discuss. Call both parties, call Lamidi Apapa, call Abure's faction, and have a round table discussion. And you can even, at the end of the day, bring your case out of the court. Some people didn't quite understand why I was saying so, because the fact is that you cannot have a political party that has grown to where Labour Party is today. You see, before the 2023 election, some of them didn't know that Labour Party will become what he eventually metamorphosed into. So those who were members were just there, not expecting so much. Eventually, the party came to limelight. Party is now a fully recognized national party, a party that can be reckoned with. And you cannot exonerate problems. when 2 or 3 politicians are gathered, there are bound to be problems. There are bound to be disagreements. There are bound to be interests. Everybody wants to place their interest ahead of the others. So, I am saying here that what has happened to the Labour Party is expected of any political gathering. But my disappointment here is in their inability to, now you are not in power. You are not yet large, politically large as APC and PDP. And you cannot resolve a minor issue. That they are even accusing the ruling party, for me, is laughable. Somebody like Lamidi Abapa, who has been a member of the party for the past 20 years. APC was not in existence 20 years ago. You know, so for me, rather than begin to chase shadows, I will repeat, I've said it earlier, and I will repeat. The most powerful man in the party today is Peter Obi, Peter Gregory Obi. All he needs to do is call people like Peter Obi, people like Patutomi, and maybe a few other leaders of the party, can call both parties to order, both factions to order and say, please, let's go this way. You shift from this position to this, but you shift from this. Let's have peace. Let us pursue a common goal. Well, we have issues before a court of appeal, which is the tribunal, and we need to go in unity. We need to go in one voice. We need to go not as a divided house, but as one house. But that they have failed to do. And now the court is just what it is, and their judgment is just what it is. And like what I have said ab initio, there are so many of them, their followers, especially in the south here, who would have thought that Lamidi Abapa should have no business being at the helms of affairs of the party. But that is just their opinion and their wish. Look at today. The other time he got judgment. Later that judgment was upturned. Today, he has a judgment again in Court of Appeal. Who knows? Because eventually, they will, and if they don't call themselves to order, they will end up at the Supreme Court, which is the highest court. And the judgment could go either ways. So, for me, I think my advice to the leadership of the Labour Party is to even settle their case out of court. It's a political party. It's all about interest. Lamidi Abapa and his factions has their interest. Abure and his factions have their interest. If I'm Peter Obi, I'll remain neutral and work with both because they're all important. Both factions are important at this point. You understand? There's no point to align with one party again. Align, be at the middle, bring this side, and take the party forward. But that a party is going to exist without crisis is practically impossible. The way politics is practiced in our environment, it's practically impossible. It's expected. What I expect them to do now is to look for a way to reconcile and move forward.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Murphy Abadani. You're still listening to Political Spotlight right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I'm still taking messages on our WhatsApp platform. I have this one from Kolawole from the mainland. He says, good evening. This current dispensation stands out from the previous ones. Even Wike is the only minister that we are hearing in the news that kicked the ground running immediately. The current government will surely perform. Let's be patient. Forget all the unnecessary distractions. It is normal in politics. Kolawole from mainland. Thank you so much, Kolawole, for your opinion and for your contribution as well. Just before we proceed on this discussion, I would like to play an insert, a soundbite from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in this year's general elections. Let's listen to him speak during a rally this week where he was campaigning for the candidate of the Labour Party in the governorship elections coming up in November.
Nigeria can also come from the Judiciary. They are part of Nigeria. Nigerians are suffering, and we don't intend to stop until we start building that new Nigeria where we're sure that Nigerians will start being pulled out of poverty, out of suffering, that government will genuinely start caring for the people. It's for them to have hope in Nigeria. If what we are going through have happened in other countries of the world, and if we do the right things, we will take back the country. If we use the resources of this country in an efficient effective manner, we will put people out of poverty. And I say it categorically, we know what to do. It is there. All we need to do is to do the right things, starting from fighting corruption. People cannot continue to be allowed to steal public money and live the way they want when everybody is suffering. People can no longer mismanage our resources. We need those who have the competence, the capacity, the character that is required, and the integrity that is required for governance to come on board. We cannot be running a government that is criminalized.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so we need to round off very soon. Our time is fast spent. Barrister Joe, I'll direct this last question to you. You have heard the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in this year's presidential election, Peter Obi, speaking with gusto and saying all the things he thinks that the Labour Party can do. With all of these internal wranglings, do they have a chance in Imo State, where Senator Ethan Achonu wants to become the governor, and where the local government elections in Edo State as well? With all of these factions, does the Labour Party have a chance at really bringing Nigeria together and doing so well in all of these states like they are proposing?
If we go by what happened during the presidential election and how they took every place by storm, if they still have that tempo and that passion and that unalloyed determination by their followers and people that trusted in them, they can still spring up surprises. It's not ruled out. We also have to take into cognizance the fact that other political parties will also mobilize, and so many things actually worked in favor of Labour Party, which was a cash-strapped policy that made it impossible for some of the heavy political money bags to unleash their humongous amounts of money on the poor masses and buy their consciences and their votes and whatever. It was not in place during the other election, the presidential election. But now most of those people are fully on their ground, on their feet, financially to, reach out to some of the people that might be guided by their stomach infrastructure. But if we are to go by philosophy and the message that Labour Party is actually preaching to people, and if they have taken steps, because we have many of them in House of Reps now, have many of them in House of Assemblies and other places. So we also expect them to start from, people that have actually, ascended to leadership to show the signs of what they will do if they eventually have the general, total instrument of power, the presidency, so that all those things will be actualized. In Imo States, like I said, if the image of the presidential candidate of Labour Party, which actually worked almost all the places that people won the election, if that love and that support and that image is still there within the people as it was before, I see them springing up surprises. Okay. If Nigerian factor of rigging and manipulations and other things will not play a role, then in Edo State is where we even have a greater hope. Being the headquarters, somebody from Edo told me, Joe, Benin, Edo State is the headquarters of obedience movement. That is where their headquarters are. Why can't you raise money and come and build headquarters there? We started laughing. They were claiming, it was a joke. So, and the person that is actually coming up to even showing interest in governorship election there, the former president of MBA, is a man that has actually played politics too. But I believe he will start pressing some buttons and begin to reach out to the people. But they have also people from other political parties. So Shomola is there from APC, was governor for 8 years. He has his own people too. Supporters will also pull up a surprise, a fight. The current governor is from PDP. Baseki is a shrewd gentleman, a well-known financial sector player. So we also expect him to also deploy his own machinery and everything in the battle. So it's going to be like a battle of three powerful heavyweights in those states. But it depends on who reaches out to the people and who guides the votes. Because one American chieftain said that it's not only those that vote that matter, but those that count the votes.
Okay.
So I'll end it with that. Let them also be conscious of the fact that it's only those that vote that actually matter, but also those that count the votes. The who monitors those that will count the votes. So plus minus, Labour is already a political party, third largest political party now in Nigeria. They have several members in House of Reps. They have a governor now in place. They have members of the Senate too. So I believe their outing now will no longer be as when it was like a structureless, totally structureless party. They have structures that can build up and then forge ahead from there. Like I said, others are also mobilizing.
Okay.
So let the people now decide. But they will do well. In Imo State, they will do well. Very, very well. In Edo State, they will do well. These are the areas they have their strengths. Okay. Or like some other parts of the country where they might struggle so much. These are places they have their strengths. They'll do well in Imo. Coupled with the fact that governor of Abia State is next door to Imo. Mostly, Imo State and Abia State usually share governorship of the same party. Like when Rochas was there, the other man was Aujudakalo won Imo and Abia through his political party, and he later lost after.
All right, Barrister Joe, permit me to interrupt you. Let's take this final call. Good evening. Welcome to Political Spotlight.
Hello, good evening.
Are you there?
Yeah.
All right. Our time is fast spent. Barrister Murphy, I would say just give us your final words on everything we've discussed today. We need to go.
Okay, the point I will end here with is that we should hope for a better Nigeria. We should all be patriotic in our dealings. We should contribute our quotas from our little angle to making Nigeria a better place. We should be supportive. We should put country first, and hopefully Nigeria will be where we want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister Murphy, Barrister Joe Nwokedi. I sincerely appreciate you for coming on the program this evening. Now, for those people who are going to accuse me of not reading their messages on WhatsApp, I have two messages. Mr. Who are you? Okay. Says, tell the president to lead us well. Everything is cost in the market. Good evening, Madam Host. Nemeka from Ejigbo. About the summit. It means Nigeria as a country is now among the countries that is doing well in Africa. Okay, may God have mercy on us. Well, thank you, Nemeka from Ejigbo. This is the point where we pull the curtain on the political spotlight this evening. My name is Ijeoma Innocent. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for riding with me. Thank you for listening. Mighty thanks to Barrister Murphy Abadoni and Barrister Joe Nwokedi for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening, and remember to be a good citizen of Nigeria. Everything you want your government to do for you, do it to and for your fellow man. Have a good evening.